time for the GeoGeeks, a regular segment where we bring in a subject matter expert to tell us what's noteworthy in our core ArcGIS products. But today, we're bringing them all together, all four of our peeps, to tell us about 3 things you should know about our latest releases.
To kick things off, gliding in from the Rideau Canal Skateway with a Coco and a Beavertail is our skating superstar, Alison O'Brien. Welcome, Alison, back to the podcast.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's great. Exciting to have our wrap up and have you back on to share what's new in ArcGIS Pro 3.4 and the latest release from November with us today.
I'm excited to share some of these updates for you guys.
So you gave us a little sneak peek of what we're looking at. Let's start off with the first thing that I know you're excited to talk about, which is being able to set time periods for offline licenses. Can you tell us more about what that is and that addition to the software?
Yes, so the first thing I wanted to bring up to you guys was that there's now an option to set the time period to take ArcGIS Pro named user licenses offline so that you can work in a disconnected environment. So by default, this is enabled in ArcGIS Online. However, as the organization administrator, you can manage whether the licenses can be taken offline and for how long. So these settings are made for the organization like as a whole, not individual members. And then there are 3 options when you're modifying if users can take licenses offline. So first we have members can take ArcGIS Pro offline for the max allowed duration. So that means that they can take ArcGIS Pro offline until your license expires or the ArcGIS Online subscription end date, whatever one of that comes first. And then second, there's members can take ArcGIS Pro offline for a set period. So this is the new thing. So basically the administrator can set the amount of days allowed to take the license offline. And then on the end user side, you're able to check out the license for any number of days up to the limit set by the administrator. And then lastly, we just have members cannot take ArcGIS Pro offline.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really helpful to be more flexible with licensing, especially when it comes to offline situations like you mentioned. So I really love that new feature. I also know that in ArcGIS Pro, they've done a lot of work trying to evolve charts and continue to improve the charting capabilities in Pro. So they have introduced a brand new chart type. So tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes, so they came up with it's called create combo charts. So this chart combines bar and line series in one single chart. So it allows you to choose the appropriate series type for your data and compares series of different types. So they support dual y-axes, which are quite useful when exploring relationships between series of different scales. So this means that you can display a y-axis on the left side and the right side of your chart. And so like you would use a secondary y-axis when, let's say, like the magnitude of the value is less important than how the trends are related between the series. So an example of how you can use the combo charts would be like you can compare the total daily precipitation with the average, minimum, or maximum daily temperatures during a specific month. So you can basically, like an example would be comparing the precipitation with the temperatures that day.
That's great to hear. I love whenever they add new chart things in ArcGIS Pro. Spatial stats is my favorite. So I think that's a pretty exciting add-on and a good example because I was having a little hard time visualizing that. Makes sense though. And then I know the last thing that you were interested in talking about, I have no idea what this word means, but I know there was lots of talk about hyperspectral imagery. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so ArcGIS Pro 3.4 now supports hyperspectral images. So these are stored in standard raster formats like TIFF or ENVI, just to name a couple. So these hyperspectral imagery, so they comprise of hundreds of contiguous bands across the electromagnetic spectrum. So you can easily now add these images into your map by clicking on the Add Data button, and then you'll see the option to add these images right into your map.
Wow, I had no idea what that meant, but I'm sure that's going to be very useful for
Yeah.
our users. So I'm really glad you highlighted hyperspectral imagery and the other things that you mentioned. But of course, we're just tipping the iceberg, right? So there's a whole bunch of new changes that's available in ArcGIS Pro 3.4, and you can find all of those listed in our doc. So you can definitely check that out. And Alison, we got something coming up in January too, right?
Yes, yes, we have our webinar that's going to talk about a lot of the new features in ArcGIS Pro 3.4.
Absolutely. So stay tuned for that at the end of January. And there's also a number of different geosnaps that we have out there as well to show you some of these new functions as well. So lots of resources out there, and I hope you give ArcGIS Pro 3.4 a try. Alison, amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today on the pod.
Thanks for having me, you guys. Always nice chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy holidays to you. That's Alison O'Brien. She's a technical solutions specialist with the marketing team, our newest member to the marketing team. So congratulations, Alison, for that. And she is calling in from her brand new igloo in Ottawa.